Okay, so here's another daily vlog update. It's day 178 of Nofap. Honestly, like I feel like most of what I'm going to talk about isn't per se Nofap related, but I'm sitting at a crossroads, so to speak, with regards to some major issues. I feel like I'm for the most part over what happened at the now former workplace, and I'm actually kind of glad that I'm not there, for a number of reasons. And as much as the memories I have, in particular certain ones, are still kind of a punch in the gut, slap across the face, kick in the nuts, that sort of thing, in the mental, emotional sense. And thinking of them kind of gets me a sort of physical reaction, that I just don't like. And I try not to think about that sort of stuff. I feel like I'm for the most part over it. And I think sort of like maybe the moment that I kind of really felt over it wasn't just when I, had made sure for, a couple weeks that, she wasn't showing up on the emails, which made it, as clear to me as you could possibly make it that, she's not working there anymore. And that, basically the folks who are left behind, they're having to double or, triple down on, the work because they don't have, these two workers, myself and then her, there anymore. But, and I might not be laughing about this right now, but I was laughing about it, kind of chuckling at myself when I was walking to my car thinking about it. But, a lot of these companies nowadays, particularly, they want to do like team building events. And you can kind of tell, the healthy, functional, good company, environments or company cultures where people like, sometimes they get each other's hair, but for the most part, they're like, like a family. It's almost like you're not at work, but you're almost like you're hanging out with your friends at work, that sort of deal. You can kind of tell, I think, at least from my experience, like when you look at the team building events, what they do. And the two team building events that I recall from when I was at the place before this last one, the one before that, which I might be going back to. Two events I remember was like, one was this dinner we went to at this really nice Italian restaurant, and it was just, it was all a bunch of laughs and, joking around and stuff like that. There were a couple moments here and there, but needless to say, like, I'd say 99% of it was just all like, us, hanging out, having fun, and kicking back and relaxing and that sort of deal. And it felt like hanging out with a bunch of your, good friends. And we all had our in jokes and, that sort of thing. And there was that event, and there was the other one where it was just after, the COVID lockdown started. Because the time we went to the dinner, it was like, we could all sit there and all in the restaurant, and I think it was all paid for by the company actually. And again, it was before the whole lockdown, so we could actually be in the restaurant. But the second time was actually at the workplace, and they had like a kitchen area, and like tables and couches and all that sort of stuff. And our boss, he was a great boss. I mean, there were things I disagree with him on when it came to politics and such, but like those things were for the most part like tertiary or like even further out there. It wasn't like necessarily in your face 24/7 365, that sort of deal. But yeah, and he was a great guy, and I'm still in contact with him. I was actually talking with him through this whole ordeal at the now former workplace, but and he's helped me, try to get a position back at the old company, in a different department, which should be, great actually, because I'll get to expand my skill set and experience and that sort of deal. But he basically got us like all a bunch of really great food from, it was like 2 or 3 different restaurants where you got to like sort of pick and choose what you wanted to get. And I got some, I think it was lamb or goat biryani, this Indian place, and you know, like a mango lassi, and it was really great food. And then of course, you know, for those of us who drank, like he got a bunch of booze, and there were, you know, some gifts given out and that sort of thing. And I think because one of the guys was leaving the shift for the other night shift, and I think someone got him some like Lagavulin or something like that, and he kind of, you know, shared it with those who, you know, did drink. And you know, we had some awkward moments because they got talking about politics, recent events at that point in time. You know, this was last year, but it all ended on a great note, really, because we had a murder mystery sort of game. You know, like you think like a costume party where everybody's kind of dressed up almost old timey. We didn't dress up old timey, you know, like no, you know, 19th century or, you know, early 20th century dress up, but you're dressing up. But it was this whole like corporate takeover. You know, there's a spy in the company. You know, who's the guy trying to help, you know, this competition take us over, that sort of thing. And you know, we played that through, and I ended up being the guy. My role is like a secret agent, you know, 007. There was someone who's supposed to be like agent of chaos, and it was like Hail Hydra, you know, from like the Avengers series, or yeah, something like that. But you know, it was really fun. And then after that, we just played video games, and you know, workload was kind of light that night. It was sort of the second half of the night was like work, and then, you know, we got done what we could get done, but it's kind of understood that, okay, we're not going to be getting that much done because we're going to be, you know, having a party. And you know, that sort of team building, like it felt like it was almost like effortless in some sense. Not saying that you know, like my boss went out of his way, and he did a lot for us, so there was a lot of effort on his part. But what I mean by effortless is that, like, people didn't have to pretend like they liked being around each other, you know. They didn't have to make that effort to pretend like, oh yeah, I think you're really cool, or we're friends, or we both like whatever, you know, Star Wars or whatever, you know, or we're, you know, we get along or something like that. There wasn't that kind of effort. There's definitely the effort of, like, you know, the boss organizing things, getting everything paid for, making sure stuff got there on time, or for the restaurant, you know, making sure we had the reservation with the tables and all this sort of stuff, and making sure the funds were there for both that event as well as the second one. But when it came to the people themselves, it was like they didn't have to force themselves to be like, hey, we're having fun, ha ha ha, you know. It wasn't like that. But at the more recent place, like, there's definitely that sort of vibe of like for the most part, at least in my case. I mean, maybe everybody else liked each other, but I never felt like I belonged. I never felt like I was really accepted, like I was really part of the crew. And it all felt really fake when people would try, like, you know, they pretend to be like nice to me, you know. And then you throw in that mix with that girl being the tease and the, you know, that sort of deal, and like her deciding to get with the other guy and blah 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 blah. It was like, this is not a place I can belong, you know. And the reason I was chuckling when I was walking here, obviously I wasn't recording myself laughing, but I had checked my old Outlook account, which was associated with that, and like they were finally getting around to some team building event, and it was like, obviously after I leave, they started doing this sort of stuff, because they've gotten rid of the bad apples, the people they didn't like, I don't know. But this manager, not my direct manager, but she comes with this idea, like, let's all go make candles, okay? We're gonna sit in that room and they're gonna make candles. And it's like cringy, you know. It's like, you look at Joshua Fluke, and he does all these videos on like corporate cringe, and it's just like, dude, to me this is maybe it's not as cringy as some companies do, but that's just like who comes up with this kind of stuff, you know? Like, I think the one time we had any real issues, I feel, with the old company was like when the upper management decided that they wanted to go skiing, and they didn't really ask like the other groups, you know, the operations group or whoever, like, okay, like, what do you think we should go do? Or let's create some options. You know, we might go skiing, but if you guys want to go, you know, to Napa Valley, or you guys want to go down to the beach, or, you know, something like that, you know, you guys can go do that. But they didn't ask. They were like, oh, we want to go skiing, you know, and maybe that's their thing. And I mean, I personally wouldn't have a problem going skiing, getting a skiing lesson, and getting to, you know, rent some, you know, rent a pair of skis and go, where was it? Like, I think Big Bear, maybe Lake Tahoe, one of those areas. You know, I wouldn't have a problem. Or if it was in some other state and they're gonna fly us out for a couple days to like Utah or something like that, like, I wouldn't have a problem with that personally. I like the outdoors, but a lot of the other folks were like, you know, they're a bit older, they maybe have kids, you know, they got responsibilities, and it's like, okay, maybe they could get out for a few hours and go someplace in the local area, you know, and have some fun. But like beyond that, it would be like, you know, they really couldn't do that, and nobody really asked, you know. Which was probably like the one time there was one of those kinds of issues. But it's my recent company, it's like is that the best you guys can come up with? You know, I'm sorry, but like, especially if the company's supposedly doing so well and you got so much money coming in, and, you know, blah blah blah. It's like, okay, so they're gonna stay around, and we're gonna make candles, people, okay? Like, candles for everybody, candles. And it's like, no thanks, no thanks, I'm good. You know, I mean, heck, even if I made a candle, like, what am I gonna do with it? What am I gonna do with a candle? Like, I used to have candles. I think I still have some stored in my car, but like, I had to literally move them out there with the intention eventually of getting either a storage location I could relocate them to, or I could give them away, or I could just throw them away or something like that, because, you know, as much as they did play a role in some of my ritual practices, and that's kind of why I'd be iffy about throwing them away. But at the same time, you know, the reason I had to take them out, really, or they're out here, is because apparently the place I'm staying at, part of the lease is you can't be burning anything in the house. And I get that, and, you know, I get it even more because beyond the language of the lease itself, there's the fact that the house next door, well, this is a few years ago, I think, at this point. I think it might have been 2018, actually, like spring 2018 or so, if I remember correctly. But there was this event where I think somebody next door, I think it was the mother who was living next door, she like left the propane, or on like the stove, she left that open, and basically there was a gas leak, and something sparked, something like set up a spark, you know, who knows, it might have been kind of like in Fight Club, where they, you know, talked about like the part of the refrigerator turning on. I don't know if that still is the case, like the modern day technology, you know, because this Fight Club was like, you know, how long ago was that? That was 22 to like 25 years ago or so, I think. Yeah, 25 years ago, let's say. So maybe refrigerator technology has changed, since then. But something sparked, you know, could have been the refrigerator, like one of the, you know, electronic parts turning on or something like that, or one of the, you know, adjust, whatever, you know, some device turned on, or something caused a spark. And long story short, the second story, like, it just burned, like the whole inside just, you know, it's like wall of flame inside, just filling the whole thing, just yeah. And the mother died, her son died, and her son, by the way, was a semester away from graduating with his degree in mechanical engineering. I don't know if they, what their ethnic, racial, national origin background was, but there was him, the mother. I think there was like one or two siblings there as well. I don't know where the father was, if it was a divorced family, single mother family, or if it was like maybe the dad was out, at work. Maybe he worked the night shift, or maybe he was on a business trip. Maybe he was visiting relatives. I don't know, but that happened, and then I think that's kind of one of the things that heightened, the whole issue at my place of living, because it's like literally like you're literally next door. Like I remember waking up, and I think I was on one of my like Nofap streaks at that point, because it's just messed up to be laughing at this point, but I remember like waking up and I had like a nocturnal emission. I woke up, it was like 5:30 a.m. That happened, and then I'm laying there, and then I'm like looking over and I'm hearing like, the sirens, wee 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 going off, and like really really loud. Like they had literally like just jumped in the fire truck and booked it to the to our street, and we're parked like right in front of the house, so like right at the entrance about to our driveway, and running in and trying to do whatever they could with the fire hose and all that kind of stuff, and it was like flames and smoke up up into the sky, and that's, I think that event in particular is probably what heightened like their seriousness at my place about fire issues. So I had to take those candles out of there, because I used to burn them on occasion, like especially if I was doing some sort of ritual or so, or if I was doing some prayer. So just because it's sort of like there's this sort of tradition of like even in that religion that I used to be a part of, like burning myrrh or frankincense. It's like a sort of tradition, and it's the scent of it. It's associated with certain things, certain people, and it's more like almost like a spiritual scent, if you will. Sort of creates that atmosphere, and I think there's possibly some sort of belief associated with it about driving away the evil spirits, or creating sort of a barrier of some sort. But I'd got not really a complaint, but inquiries as to whether or not I was burning anything in my room, and that was kind of that, and combined with a notice that the people who rent out the room, and the manager as well, like putting out this notice saying that anybody who is caught like burning anything in their rooms or so, your lease will be considered, you'll be violating your lease, will be considered null and void, and you'll be evicted immediately. And then that's when I decided to move everything out here, and I was also starting to use this car honestly as sort of a mobile storage locker, because I don't really have a lot of space in my room. But getting back to it, it's like, okay, what would I do with a candle? They don't even think about this kind of stuff at this place. It's like, okay, let's go make candles. It's like, well, what if I can't? What am I gonna do? I'm gonna give somebody a candle? Well, yeah, maybe, but then, like, all the like logistics and the issues having to do with that, and it's like they don't even think like, what about other stuff? And I don't even know, because this may have happened like right as I was getting let go, and she was getting let go, and that sort of deal. But I don't even know if they went through some sort of planning process, or some sort of like brainstorming process, because supposedly they'd gone through that like about a month or two before I started, and like that girl told me about how they've been sitting around brainstorming about team building stuff, and or how she wanted to go camping, and blah 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 blah. So I don't know how they came to this conclusion. Let's make candles, guys. Let's just make candles, okay? Each to your own, in your own room, making candles. It's like what? But just kind of maybe a cringy example, or evidence of, or point of supporting, like, okay, that it's actually a good thing that I'm not there anymore. But to get around to like my my sort of intro of like talking about being at a crossroads. I don't remember if I really I don't know if I went into this, but I know my last few videos I talked about, you know, probably dropping that class. And the problem is that, okay, so I got my grades back for the midterm, and I got my you know, my grades back for some other stuff as well, but I'm basically at this point where like I would have to get near perfect scores on pretty much everything, including the final, in order to be able to get that B that I need. And you know, as much as it sucks to be looking at this going, okay, I gotta drop this class, when I paid close to $900 to take it, and I put on all this, I did put in, you know, some measure of effort. You know, I feel a significant amount of effort, especially under the circumstances, into this class, to be at this point where, like, you know, I'm not gonna fail the class, but as far as grad school is concerned, it would be failing. And that's sort of the thing. It's kind of like, you know, failing in undergrad, it's like less than a C minus, you know, or less than a C, depending upon what they say is, you know, passing grade. Failing in for grad school is getting anything less than a B. And especially given that I have the compounded issue of having a subpar GPA that requires me to essentially be getting A's or A minuses in these classes, such that I can have my last 60 units be raised up to a 2.5 or higher, and then even more so with the fact that so this master's program of biomedical engineering, I talked about transition courses, which is basically like the stuff they'll make you take if you didn't do your undergrad in biomedical engineering. And some of them you can't take unless you're actually like matriculated into the university, meaning you're not an open university student. Some of them it's far easier to take at the community college level. And there's always like complications trying to get in, because they want you to like enroll not only in a lecture and a lab for some of these, but also in a seminar, and there's like only so many spots available. And all of these they want you to get a B or higher in. And then of course there's the in addition to that, you would have to take like at least 9 units of grad school level courses and get it's like basically a B in that, or you know, higher. And so it's like I gotta make these like cost benefit analysis decisions where essentially it's sort of like, okay, if I drop this, if I withdraw from this, you know, if I get a W in it, and I retake it, like I will have to get an A. You know, there's none of this sort of, well, I can just get a B or a B plus and, you know, get by with that and be okay. It's more like, you know, and I would have to literally get that A. And, you know, the fact that, see, when they calculate your GPA for grad school, it's basically like they take your grade points from each of your classes, each of your attempts, and they divide that by your total number of units attempted. So even if you withdraw from the class and you got a W, that still counts, that still affects it. I've done the math, and basically if I was able to just turn everything around, basically I could have, you know, the GPA I needed, but there's that, you know, sort of difficulty in the whole process. But then there's also the concern that, you know, maybe the university will raise its standards, you know, in the meantime. Some of these universities, like even these state universities, they've raised it from like a 2.5 to a 2.75 or a 2.85, or even a 3.0. This one is just a 2.5 right now, and I had to get this stuff done in a timely manner. But yeah, it really sucks. I didn't have these issues when I was working at the old place. It's kind of ironic because like I was doing way more hours per week, and each shift was 12 hours, and somehow I took the class that I took and I got an A-, and it was like, sort of like the importance of being in the kind of environment where you're not dealing with like harassment and unnecessary conflict, where people aren't like picking at you, where there aren't love triangles, where there isn't all this kind of extraneous garbage going on. Because when you gotta deal with that 8+ hours a day, it saps you of a lot of energy, and sometimes I get it, people can't help it, they might look at me, or hear me, talking about this stuff and go, well, lottie freaking da, but I think a lot of it also is like, I'm reminded of some other video I did where I kind of mentioned one of my housemates, an older dude, and like having to live in the conditions that he has to live in and that sort of deal. And this whole idea of like making better decisions so you have a better future kind of rose to into my thinking. And it's kind of like me having to figure it out and make those better decisions, put myself in the kind of environment where I can flourish, as opposed to putting myself in the kind of environment where I'm going to be sabotaged or like just having to devote all this extra energy and effort to stuff that will do me no good, will produce no good, will change nothing, and essentially end up wasting my time and effort that could and should be put towards something like, let's say, my class or classes, or my health or something of that nature. Because man, it was a really draining experience to be at that place, and I honestly feel like if things had been different there, I feel like everything else would have gone a heck of a lot better. And of course it's also compounded by the fact that my dad having a stroke and that whole deal. But anyways, probably gonna call my dad and talk to him for a bit, but most likely just gonna withdraw from that class, figure out how to do that, and whatever forms I gotta fill out or whatever I gotta do. But I need to also find out if there's what kinds of consequences there are to withdrawing from a class through Open University. Like, will they make me not be able to take classes for a semester or something like that, or will there be like nothing that would happen. But yeah, kind of where I'm at right now. And to I think it's Empty Red Cloud, appreciate your comment, and it's great to hear that I'm inspiring someone out there by continuing on this path and not giving up. It has its tough times, it has its dark times, but I don't know how exactly I'm doing it. Some of it is just like reaching out to people, whether it's making these videos or it's reaching out to folks who do care and just getting off my chest or talking about things, or trying to have something else to work on that I can sort of feel like, hey, I'm making some progress in some way, even if it's just paying off debt, like still having forward momentum that I feel like I'm getting somewhere in life. And by the way, the reason I was kind of looking out to the left, being a little skittish earlier, was a bunch of cops pulled up in their SUVs, and they've been doing this stuff for the last few months. I'm not exactly sure why they're picking this neighborhood at this point. especially in the middle of the day, like it is. It's a little bit past 4 p.m. right now, and I'm not sure like why they're out here, but maybe something's going down. But it just kind of makes you a little bit on edge, just because like you get this sort of feeling that they're almost like looking for something or looking for someone, and if they can't find that person, they'll make you the person that they're looking for. You get that sort of sense of things, like they just want to have someone they can, harass or arrest or give a citation to or something like that. And maybe it looks odd for some maybe sitting out in their car in the middle of the day, but it's where I come up here for my solitude and my quiet and that sort of thing, and just to kind of be left alone, and to make these videos and etc. Talk with folks about stuff that's kind of personal and private to me. But anyways, like I said, that's it for me right now. I'll have to make my decision and figure out what I'm gonna do. But then I'll update those who it may concern. I'll update them via those videos as to my decision and my sort of path forward. But one thing I have to be clear on is that I'm not going to be establishing a pattern of doing this sort of stuff where I'm withdrawing from classes. I know that it might not be directly related to my sort of current career path, but it's like medical school HQ. I think it's .net or .com. But they had someone on there who was asking, should I withdraw from this class because it's like a calculus class this guy was taking. He's like a 30-year-old community college student. I'm thinking like, okay, should I withdraw from this class? Like I'm at a point where it's almost like I have to get near perfect scores in order to like get a C or get a B. Should I withdraw from it and retake it next semester, that sort of thing? And the answer essentially was like, take the W, figure things out. What do you gotta do? And he said that the guy who put this question in said that he was dealing with the death of his mother, and was going through the grieving, and it was really affecting him, and that's essentially one of the biggest reasons why he wasn't doing so well in the class. And the guy, I think it's Dr. Robert or Richard Gray, I think it's the guy who runs that. I think it was him responding. He said like the person responding said, take that W, basically, you're grieving over your mother. It's definitely understandable. I mean, like why you wouldn't be when you've lost a loved one, especially the one who gave birth to you, that sort of deal. Go through your grieving process, get things sorted out, that sort of deal. Take care of that sort of deal, take care of that business, take care of yourself, that sort of deal. Get things sorted out, and then, go back and take that class again and make sure you get that A, that sort of thing. Take care of business, that sort of deal, because he said, in case of medical school, that a C, could be jeopardizing or possibly jeopardize your your admission to medical school. Now, I'm not going to medical school right now, but it's sort of a similar situation. In this case, you place medical school with grad school, and similar sort of scenario. So, yeah, and I'm hoping like I get back to this old workplace, I get things straightened out, I pay off some more debts, I get my finances, that much stronger, and maybe I can rapidly even get to the point where I wouldn't have to worry about money, I wouldn't have to be doing work, I could just do school. But until then, it's probably going to be like, withdraw from this class, sign up for some other class during the summer and the fall, and probably retake this next spring, hopefully. And I'll have to put together all the study materials, the solutions, all the stuff that I have access to right now, and go with that. So anyways, I've gone on long enough. It's coming up in 35 minutes. So I'm going to stop recording and upload this video, and then I'm going to probably call my dad and talk to him and, start bouncing stuff off of him. But I'll see you folks around. thanks for watching, and Alex, I will in all likelihood respond to that latest comment. It's an interesting conversation to have, and ironically or unironically enough, I'm sure, like, you know, from everything maybe you've seen, or, you know, the latest videos I put out, like, we're obviously going to agree on, like, probably 90 to 95%, even 99% of all the things, you know. That sort of deal. Just that's probably how it'll be, and that's probably, you know, how it's been. So, but anyways, I'll see you folks around. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.